Good morning, everyone. This morning I'm going to be making some applesauce bread, so I thought maybe I'd bring you along with me while I made it. This is from an old book that I've had for a long, long time. Best muffins and quick breads. I've used this recipe forever. It seems like more than 20 years. And the nice thing about this is that you can make it's a recipe for banana bread, but you can also make it any fruit that you want. If I'm making applesauce today, I've kind of tweaked the recipe a little bit, because I found out that as long as you have it calls for a cup. Well, I'm making 2 loaves here, so 2 cups of your fruit. You're good with whatever you want to put it. You can make it pumpkin, you can make it applesauce, banana, you can mix your fruits, applesauce and banana. Anything that you want to make it as, you can do that. And so I've got my oven lit at 350, and right now I've got 2 sticks of softened butter in here. And so I've got my sugar, and it also calls for a teaspoon of baking soda. So I didn't put quite as much sugar in because this is homemade applesauce that I made the other day, and it's quite sweet on its own. So I cut down on the sugar a little bit. You can really tweak this recipe any way that you want. But right now I'm going to blend my sugar in with my butter. And you want your butter to be nice and soft when you do it. If anybody wants this recipe, just PM me. I'll send it to you. I'm not being real exact on the measurements right here, but it's a good all-time quick recipe that doesn't take very long. Oh, I got to get some eggs. Hold on a second. Let's see. I need 4 eggs altogether. Okay, here we go. I got the 4 eggs out of the other refrigerator. So I'm gonna crack my eggs right into this creamed butter and sugar here. Like I said, I'm making 2 loaves here, so this recipe makes 1, but I always figure there's no sense making just 1 loaf, because you're gonna eat 1 loaf and then maybe pop the other one in the freezer for later. So I'm going to mix up this, or give it as a gift. A lot of times I'll give it as a gift. I'm going to mix this up pretty good. This isn't a fussy recipe at all. I've never ever had it not work for me. It's just kind of a standard, tried and true recipe. So I've got that pretty good mixed up. There's 1 cup of applesauce. I want to use up this applesauce because I was making pies the other day. I had some leftover apples, so I just turned it into applesauce, but it needs to be used up. Usually it gets eaten, but Earl hasn't been in the mood for applesauce, I guess. So I've got 2 cups of applesauce in here, and mine is chunky. We like our applesauce kind of chunky. I don't really puree it very smooth. Mix that up. Applesauce is cold, so it's not wanting to mix with the butter very good. But like I say, this recipe works with everything. Oh, and then there's also a teaspoon of salt in that, baking soda and sugar also. And here goes the flour. It calls for 2 cups of flour. So I've got, of course, 4 cups in here. And I need to get my milk. And you can use buttermilk for this if you want to. This calls for a third of a cup of milk, so I'm going to put 2/3 in. I'm just going to kind of eyeball it. So it's so quick to mix up, and everybody likes this recipe. I've taken it to a lot of suppers and given it for gifts, and Does take kind of a long time in the oven. That's the only thing. It's a good hour in the oven. I'm going to pour that milk in. Takes a good hour in the oven. You want to make sure that it's done real good in the center, because there's nothing worse than a doughy fruit bread that doesn't get all completely mixed up. And I also didn't put any cinnamon in this because my applesauce had a lot of cinnamon in it also. So normally I would doctor this up. Sometimes you can put nuts in it. I'm not going to today, just because I didn't get them out and get them ready. But you can put cinnamon, nutmeg, any of your spices that you like in it. Let me... Spray your pans good, especially the bottoms. Actually, this recipe, I think, says only spray the sides so that the bread can crawl up the sides, but I made a mistake and didn't do that. So I'm going to pop this into my bread pans. You can see the chunks of apple in there, and it made the dough nice and brown because I had a lot of cinnamon in that applesauce that I made the other day. Trying to think what other kinds you could make. Any fruit that you can chop up or you know, make into a kind of a puree applesauce. Like I said, pumpkin. And just spread it out a little bit onto the pans. And then there's one more thing I like to do. Hold on just a second, and I'm almost done with this part of the video. I like to take and sprinkle brown sugar on the top of my sweetbreads. It makes kind of a nice crust and just makes them kind of special. But you can serve this with plain. You don't have to put anything on it. It's sweet enough without it. Or you can put some cream cheese on it after you slice it. Nice butter. Anything. They're just a nice recipe, and I thought I'd share it with you. Like I say, if anybody wants any of the particulars, just PM me. I'll give you the recipe. Love sharing recipes and patterns and things like that. So I'm going to pop this in the oven, and my goal is to get this in the oven. It takes about an hour to bake, and I'm going to get my shower taken and like that. Well, that's being taken care of. So I'm going to pop this in the oven, and after it comes out, I will make another video and show you what it looks like. Now my hands are all covered with stuff. I'm trying to shut off the video.